When a woman wants to cross the line of intimacy with you, she doesn't just dive in without thought. She weighs her decisions carefully because for her, intimacy is more than the act. It's about trust, respect, and assurance. And here's what you must pay attention to. 5 things she will always ask about. When we talk about intimacy, it is very easy to focus on the surface level: looks, attraction, chemistry, timing. But the truth, especially when it comes to women, is that the decision to be intimate goes far deeper than just what the eye can see. And the very first and most important factor is safety and trust. Without these two, nothing else will move forward. This is the silent foundation upon which everything is built. If she doesn't feel safe with you, if she doesn't feel like she can trust you, there is no level of attraction that will push her into that space with you. Now, what do we mean by safety? Safety for a woman is not only physical safety. It's emotional safety, psychological safety, even social safety. A woman is wired to scan her environment for threats, and that includes you. She will test whether you are a protector or a predator, whether you are someone who will guard her or someone who might expose her. And this evaluation happens in ways you may not even notice. She'll pay attention to how you talk about other women. She'll watch how you treat strangers, waiters, people you consider beneath you. She'll listen carefully when you tell stories about your exes. Each of these things signals to her whether you are safe ground or dangerous territory. When a woman feels physically safe, it means she trusts that you will not harm her, pressure her, or make her regret stepping into your space. This is why so many women ask questions that may sound random to you, like where are we going? Who's going to be there? Or do you live alone? These are not just small talk. These are her way of calculating whether being around you will compromise her safety. And if you brush these questions off or try to avoid them, you send her signals that make her retreat. Beyond physical safety is emotional safety. This is perhaps even more important. A woman wants to know that if she gives you her body, you won't use it against her later. She wants to know that if she lets her guard down, you won't ridicule her, judge her, or shame her for her choices. Think about how much courage it takes for a woman to open up to someone, to strip away her defenses, and to show herself in her most vulnerable state. If she feels that you are careless with her emotions, if she senses that you enjoy mocking, gossiping, or exposing people, then no matter how much she desires you, she will shut that part of herself down. Trust is built in small, subtle ways. It's in the consistency of your actions, the alignment between what you say and what you do. A woman will pay attention to whether you keep your word. Do you follow through when you say you'll call? Do you respect her boundaries, or do you constantly try to push them? Do you listen when she speaks, or do you dismiss her concerns? All these little things accumulate in her mind, and before long, she knows whether you're the kind of man she can trust or not. And let's not forget psychological safety. This is about how you treat her mind and her opinions. A woman who feels that every time she expresses herself you belittle her, argue her down, or manipulate her thoughts will never feel safe enough to share her body with you. For her, sex is not only physical, it's also mental. If she feels that being with you requires silencing her thoughts, hiding her ideas, or pretending to be someone else, she will withhold intimacy. But when she feels that her opinions are valued, that her voice matters, and that she can disagree with you without fear of insult, that's when safety grows. Even social safety plays a role. Women know the power of reputation. They know that once intimacy is shared, there is always a risk of it being exposed, especially in today's world where privacy is fragile. This is why she will pay attention to how you talk about your private life. Do you run to your friends to brag about your experiences? Do you use past relationships as entertainment for others? Or do you show discretion? A woman wants to trust that what happens between the two of you will remain between the two of you. That's why questions like, "Do you tell your friends everything?" or "Who else knows about this?" are actually her way of assessing her social safety with you. Many men misunderstand these safety checks. They think she's being difficult, nosy, or overly cautious, but understand this: for a woman, intimacy is never just a physical act, it is a risk. Every time she says yes to you, she risks her heart, her health, her reputation, and sometimes even her life. That is why she will always, consciously or unconsciously, measure how safe she feels around you. Now here's the challenge for men: safety cannot be faked. You can't pretend to be a safe man for long, because your true character will reveal itself in how you handle small things. If you are impatient with her boundaries, if you mock her concerns, if you treat others harshly, she will see through you. But if safety and trust are part of who you are, then she will naturally relax in your presence. She will laugh more, she will share more, she will open up. That is her way of showing you that she feels secure. And once a woman feels safe, everything else flows more easily. Conversation deepens, chemistry intensifies, and intimacy becomes a natural step rather than a forced one. Safety is the soil, attraction is the seed. Without good soil, no seed will grow, no matter how much you water it. So the next time you're wondering why a woman seems hesitant, why she doesn't respond to your advances, or why she pulls away even when there's obvious attraction, ask yourself, does she feel safe with me? Have I earned her trust, not with grand gestures, but with consistent respect, honesty, and reliability? Because a woman who feels unsafe will never go further with you, but a woman who feels secure in your presence will not only give herself to you, she will do so wholeheartedly. This is the first and most important thing she will always test for: her safety and her trust in you. And if you can give her that, if you can be that man who doesn't just desire her but also protects her, then intimacy is not something you will have to beg for. It will be something she offers freely, because she knows that in your hands she is safe. When we talk about a woman's decision to be intimate with a man, it is easy to assume that attraction is enough. Many men think that if a woman is physically drawn to them, that's all it takes, but the reality is different. Beyond safety and trust, which we already know are non-negotiable, another powerful consideration is your availability. And by availability, I don't just mean whether you're single or not. I mean the space you carry in your life, the emotional bandwidth you have, and the level of presence you can offer her. Because to a woman, intimacy is not just a physical encounter, it is a connection, and no connection can happen if she senses you are not available to her in some way. Let's break it down. First, there is the obvious question of relationship status. Many women will ask or subtly investigate whether you're already committed elsewhere. She may ask about your past, your current living situation, or the people around you. It is not because she wants to pry for gossip, it's because availability matters. A woman who wants to be intimate with you needs to know if she is stepping into something complicated. Is there another woman in the picture? Are you still emotionally tied to an ex? Do you have unfinished business that could blow back on her? All these things form part of her evaluation of your availability. But even when you are single, that is only one part of the story. A man can be single but emotionally unavailable. He can be so consumed by work, ambition, or personal struggles that he has no room for her. And women pick up on this very quickly. She may ask about your schedule, about how you spend your time, about your energy. She is not just making conversation. She is checking to see whether you even have the mental and emotional capacity to engage with her. Because for her, intimacy is not just about bodies touching. It is about minds and emotions connecting. If she senses that you are distracted, half present, or carrying heavy baggage, she will hold back. Availability also extends to how much you value her presence. A woman who wants to give herself to you needs to know that she is not just an afterthought. She doesn't want to feel like you're squeezing her in between other commitments, or worse, between other women. So she will test this. She will ask, when are you free? Or do you have time for me this weekend? These are not casual questions. They are her way of measuring whether you are truly available to make space for her. If your answers always sound like she is competing with everything else in your life, she will not feel secure enough to cross that intimate line. And here's something men often miss: emotional availability is about vulnerability. Women sense quickly whether a man is emotionally closed off. If you never share anything real about yourself, if you deflect every personal question with a joke, or if you avoid opening up, she sees that wall. And when there is a wall, intimacy cannot flow. A woman wants to feel like she is entering a space where both of you are present, not just physically but emotionally. If she opens herself up to you, but you remain guarded and distant, she will feel exposed and unsafe. So her questions about your past, your dreams, your fears, they are her way of checking whether you are emotionally available enough for her to meet you halfway. Now let's talk about availability in terms of priorities. To a woman, a man's priorities are a window into his life. She will listen carefully to how you talk about your time. Are you constantly too busy? Do you complain that you can't manage your responsibilities? Do you hint that relationships are too much trouble? All of this tells her that intimacy with you may be an uphill battle because you may not have the space to prioritize her. For her, intimacy requires presence. She doesn't want to give herself to someone who sees her as just a convenient distraction. She wants to know that in the moments you share, she matters, and if you can't make her feel that way before intimacy, she doubts you'll make her feel that way after. Women are also intuitive about emotional baggage. If you are still hung up on your ex, if you constantly compare, if you speak with bitterness or unresolved pain, she knows you are not truly available to her. Even if you try to hide it, the way you talk about your past relationships will reveal your state of mind, and no woman wants to compete with the ghost of another woman. She doesn't want to give herself to someone who is still emotionally living in yesterday. So she will test you subtly or directly to see if you are over your past. She wants to know if you can be present with her without shadows standing in the way. And then there's the question of lifestyle. A man whose life is chaotic, who is constantly changing jobs, moving houses, dealing with drama, may not appear available, because availability is also about stability. A woman doesn't need you to be rich or perfect, but she wants to feel that your life has enough structure to hold space for her. If she feels like she is entering a storm by being with you, she will protect herself by pulling back. Stability signals availability. Chaos signals danger. Here's the key: availability is not about being free all the time. It is about being intentional. A man who is truly available may still have a busy schedule, but he makes time for her. He may still carry responsibilities, but he carves out moments where she feels prioritized. That intentionality communicates volumes. When a woman sees that, she feels safe to open up to intimacy because she knows she is not competing with the rest of the world for your attention. Now, availability also connects to honesty. If you are not actually available for what she is seeking, then the most respectful thing you can do is be honest about it. Many men create confusion by acting available when they are not. They want the benefits of intimacy without the responsibilities of presence. But women are perceptive, and over time, she will see the cracks. And once she realizes that you were never truly available, she will not only withdraw intimacy, she will also lose trust in you completely. So think about this. If a woman seems hesitant, if she seems like she's holding back even though you feel chemistry, ask yourself, does she see me as available? Am I giving her the impression that I have room for her, that I can prioritize her, that I am not trapped in my past, that I am not too distracted by everything else in my life? Because for her, intimacy is not just a physical exchange. It is a step into your world. And she needs to know that there is space in that world for her. A woman who knows you are truly available will lean into you more freely. She will text you more openly. She will share more deeply. She will invite you into her space without hesitation. But a woman who senses you are unavailable will always hold back. She may still enjoy your company, she may still flirt, but she will not give herself fully, because she knows that without your availability, her vulnerability will only lead to pain. That is why availability is such a crucial checkpoint. It is not about whether you are attractive. It is not about whether you are charming. It is about whether you have the space in your life and heart to meet her. And when you do, she will not only give you her body, she will give you her trust, her laughter, her energy, and her loyalty. But it all begins with the simple question, are you truly available? When a woman is thinking about being intimate with you, one of the most important questions that runs through her mind is whether you can keep her trust in the form of discretion. For many men, discretion feels like a minor detail, something not as significant as attraction or chemistry. But for women, discretion is a deal breaker. A woman can find you attractive, she can feel safe with you, she can even sense that you are emotionally available, but if she believes that you cannot be trusted to protect her privacy, she will not move forward. Why? Because intimacy is not just about the act itself. It is about what happens afterwards. It is about whether she can trust you to hold that experience with respect, rather than use it as a tool to boost your ego or to entertain your friends. Think about it. When a woman gives herself to you, she is not just sharing her body, she is sharing her vulnerability. She is giving you access to a side of her that the world does not see. In that moment, she is exposed both physically and emotionally. And one of her greatest fears is that you will mishandle that exposure. She worries you will talk about her, that you will tell others what happened, that you will brag about her body, or worse, that you will use her secrets as weapons against her later. This is why discretion becomes such a critical checkpoint. If she doubts your ability to keep things private, she will not risk giving you that access. Discretion shows up in the smallest ways. A woman will watch how you talk about other people in your life. Do you tell her intimate details about your exes? Do you share private things that were clearly meant to stay between you and someone else? Do you use your past encounters as stories to impress her? If you do, she will notice. And what she hears is not just your words about other women. It is a warning about how you might treat her. If you expose them, why wouldn't you expose her too? If you brag about your past, what makes her believe you won't brag about her tomorrow? And women are careful about this because their reputation matters. Society often judges women more harshly than men for the same choices. While a man may be praised for his experiences, a woman is often criticized or labeled. She knows this. She knows that once her private life becomes public, she loses control of her own narrative. That's why she will test you. She will ask questions that may sound simple, like, do you tell your friends everything? Or who else knows about us? She might even check how fast you share things on social media or how loose you are with your circle. These are not random questions. They are her way of assessing whether you are capable of keeping intimacy where it belongs, in confidence. Discretion is also about timing and behavior. A woman wants to see if you can control yourself when you are around others. Do you reveal too much when you drink? Do you talk too loudly when you're excited? Do you feel the need to prove yourself by exposing private matters in public? All these things tell her if you can be trusted, because she knows that a man who lacks self-control with his words cannot be trusted with her secrets. Now let's look at the emotional side of discretion. A woman who considers being intimate with you is not only concerned about what you might say to others, but also about what you might throw back at her in moments of conflict. She asks herself, if I argue with this man tomorrow, will he insult me with the very things I trusted him with today? Will he humiliate me by exposing details I shared in confidence? If she senses that you are the type to weaponize private information, she will hold back. Because for her, intimacy is a sacred act, and once it is disrespected, the damage cannot be undone. Many men make the mistake of thinking discretion is about silence only, but it goes further than that. Discretion is also about behavior after intimacy. Do you still treat her with respect? Do you acknowledge her with dignity, even if things don't last between you? A woman remembers how you behaved after as much as how you behaved before. If you suddenly become cold, dismissive, or mocking, she feels betrayed. If you show consistency and maturity, she feels valued. That consistency is a form of discretion. It shows that what you shared together remains respected no matter what happens next. Women also look at how you handle your friendships. If you belong to a circle where everyone brags about their private lives, she will be cautious with you. She will wonder whether you can resist the pressure of joining in. If you are the type of man who thrives on validation from your peers, she will hesitate. But if she sees that you are independent, that you guard your relationships carefully, and that you don't need to use private stories to prove your worth, she will feel more at ease. Because she knows that with you, her dignity will be protected. Discretion, at its core, is about respect. It is about understanding that intimacy is not currency to be traded for status. It is about recognizing that what happens in private deserves to remain private. And when a woman senses that you carry that respect naturally, she will trust you more deeply. She will not have to second guess whether her name will be dragged through conversations, whether her body will be described to others, or whether her private life will be exposed. That assurance is what gives her the freedom to let go, to be vulnerable, and to embrace intimacy fully. So ask yourself, how do you speak about your past? How do you handle sensitive information? How do you treat the secrets entrusted to you? Because whether you realize it or not, women are listening, observing, and evaluating. And each time you expose someone else's private life, you lower your credibility. Each time you boast about what should have remained confidential, you signal to the next woman that she cannot trust you. On the other hand, when you are discreet, it shows up in your energy. You become the man people feel safe around. Women notice that you don't expose others, that you don't carry gossip, that you don't need to advertise your conquests. And that quiet strength makes you more attractive. It tells her that she can be herself with you without fear of exposure. It tells her that whatever happens between the two of you will remain sacred. That is powerful because it removes one of her greatest fears, the fear of regret. In the end, discretion is not about silence, it is about integrity. It is about holding space for her dignity long after the moment has passed. And for a woman, that is one of the greatest signs of respect. Attraction may open the door, safety may build the foundation, availability may clear the path, but discretion is what convinces her to walk through. Because without discretion, everything else collapses. With it, she knows that no matter what happens, her vulnerability is safe in your hands. That is why discretion is always one of the things she will check before giving herself to you. And when she finds it, she will not only give you her body, she will give you her trust, her loyalty, and her respect. Because she knows that with you, her story remains hers, and that is priceless. When a woman thinks about intimacy, one of the most overlooked but deeply important factors she considers is your readiness. Many men assume that readiness is only about physical performance, but that's just one small piece of the puzzle. For a woman, readiness is multi-layered. It is about your lifestyle, your habits, your energy, your state of mind, and your ability to show up in a way that matches her expectations. If she senses that you are not ready physically, not ready mentally, not ready emotionally, then she will not move forward even if there is chemistry. Readiness is what tells her that intimacy with you will not feel like a burden, but like an experience worth having. Let us start with physical readiness. A woman wants to know that you take care of yourself. She wants to know that your body, your hygiene, your health, and your energy are not neglected. That is why she may ask questions like, "Do you work out?" or "What do you usually eat?" Or even, when was the last time you saw a doctor? These questions may seem casual, but they are her way of measuring whether your lifestyle supports intimacy. If you neglect your body, if you are constantly tired, if you smell of carelessness, she will interpret it as a lack of readiness. Because to her, intimacy is an exchange of energy, and she wants to share it with someone who is vibrant, healthy, and intentional about his well-being. But readiness is not just about hygiene or fitness. It is also about stamina and attentiveness. A woman wants to know that when the moment comes, you can be present and engaged, not distracted or drained. If you are always exhausted from work, if you live a lifestyle that leaves you constantly stressed or unavailable, she will sense it. Women are intuitive. They can tell when you are running on empty. And no matter how much they may desire you, if they feel that you are not mentally or physically prepared, they will hold back. For them, intimacy is too important to waste on someone who is only half present. Readiness also involves emotional presence. A woman does not want to share her body with a man who is disconnected or emotionally numb. If you are carrying unresolved anger, bitterness, or pain, she will feel it in your energy. She may not always put it into words, but she will know. That's why she may ask about your past, about how you deal with stress, about how you treat people when you're upset. These are not random questions. They are her way of figuring out whether you have the emotional maturity to handle intimacy with care. Because intimacy is not just about what happens physically, it is about the emotions that follow. A man who is emotionally unready may leave her feeling empty, used, or disregarded, and that is not a risk she is willing to take. Let's talk about mental readiness. For a woman, intimacy involves focus. She wants to feel that when you are with her, your mind is not scattered. If you are constantly glued to your phone, if you are distracted by notifications, if your thoughts are always somewhere else, she will interpret it as disinterest. Readiness means that you can give her your undivided attention. It means you are not just going through the motions, but truly present with her, and that level of focus is rare but deeply valuable. When a man demonstrates that kind of presence, a woman feels seen, valued, and desired. That is what transforms intimacy into something meaningful, rather than just mechanical. Readiness is also about self-control. A woman wants to know that you can respect timing, that you don't rush her, that you can read her signals and respond with patience. She wants to know that you are ready to match her pace, not just impose your own. If you are too impulsive, if you ignore her cues, if you pressure her before she is comfortable, she will see you as unready. Because real readiness is not about eagerness, it is about discipline. It is about being attuned enough to know when to advance and when to pause. That balance is what allows her to relax and trust the process. Another layer of readiness is maturity in handling consequences. Women understand that intimacy does not exist in a vacuum. There are always potential outcomes, emotional, relational, and sometimes even physical. She wants to know that you are responsible enough to manage those outcomes. That's why she may ask questions about protection, about your lifestyle, or about your views on relationships. She wants to know if you are mature enough to think beyond the moment. If you dismiss her concerns, if you act like precautions are unnecessary, if you avoid responsibility, she will conclude that you are not ready. Because for her, readiness also means accountability, and then there's spiritual or moral readiness, which matters for many women. It is not necessarily about religion, but about alignment of values. She may wonder whether your beliefs, your principles, your sense of right and wrong align enough with hers for her to feel comfortable opening up. If she feels that intimacy with you would violate her deepest values, she will hold back. For her, readiness includes the harmony of conscience. If her spirit is uneasy, her body will not follow. Now, think about how a woman tests this readiness. She pays attention to how you treat yourself. If you are careless with your body, reckless with your habits, or dismissive of your own well-being, she interprets it as a signal that you will not be attentive with her. She listens to how you speak about intimacy itself. Do you reduce it to conquest and performance, or do you see it as a shared experience? She watches how you handle the little things, whether you are punctual, whether you keep your word, whether you handle stress with composure. To her, all of these are indicators of readiness, because the way you do small things is the way you will handle bigger ones, including intimacy. The truth is, readiness is attractive. When a man is truly ready, ready in his body, ready in his mind, ready in his emotions, ready in his maturity, a woman feels it. She feels it in the steadiness of his presence, in the patience of his actions, in the energy he carries. That readiness gives her permission to relax. It allows her to let go of worry and to immerse herself in the moment.